When we assess new ideas, it's easy to fall into the social media trap of describing everything as either the best thing ever or the worst. Leopold Aschenbrenner's paper Situational Awareness has garnered that kind of excessive controversy. Chiefly his claim that artificial superintelligence is imminent and that America needs to achieve it before a dictatorship like China. So here's a useful tool to assess Aschenbrenner's work, not to validate it or to tear it apart, but to look for benchmarks indicating whether his key assumptions are playing out. His biggest assertions are, first, that scaling will continue to work just as effectively in AI research going forward as it has for years, that throwing more and more compute and data at AI models will continue to make ever more significant breakthroughs. His second is that we will keep seeing more ooms, order of magnitude changes, each one an increase of 10 times, in the computational power and training data used to create new AIs, and in the positive results we get back in return. When people make radical technological predictions, but have some kind of logic and facts seemingly backing them up, this is a good way to assess them, if not at the time, then in the weeks, months, and years to follow. This isn't about sitting in judgment. It's finding guideposts which indicate which futures are likely or already upon us, and which seem less likely. We never have perfect knowledge, especially where the future is concerned. But we do have the ability to keep our eyes and minds open and reassess as new information becomes available. There are watchfires kindling in the darkness. Let them guide you home.
Okay, so ever think about how fast the world can change?
Yeah.
Like, imagine growing up in the shadow of the Berlin Wall, seeing that come down.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
got to make you think about big shifts, right?
Definitely.
Well, that's Leopold Aschenbrenner's story.
Hey.
And now he's focused on the race for artificial general intelligence, AGI.
Right.
And I know we hear about ChatGPT, GPT-4, all that. It's easy to think AGI is way off in the future, sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
But Aschenbrenner, he was at OpenAI in the thick of it. He says this isn't some fantasy.
Right.
He sees a path from where we are now to AGI, and soon.
Like how soon?
Within this decade, he thinks.
Wow, that's...
Yeah, and this isn't just some tech hype.
Right.
Aschenbrenner, he connects this to the Berlin Wall, to his own life, saying getting AGI wrong is that big a deal.
Like a geopolitical event.
Yeah, he says if China wins this race, it could be like the biggest conflicts of the 20th century, that destabilizing.
That's a serious comparison.
It is, right?
So AGI is like the next arms race kind of thing.
Exactly. And we've all played with the chatbots. GPT-4 is amazing. But Aschenbrenner says that's just the start.
Okay.
Think about GPT-2 4 years ago. Couldn't count to 5.
Right.
Now GPT-4 writes code, does tests, even music. Toddler to teenager in like no time.
And it's only getting faster.
That's what he's saying. The pace is going to accelerate.
Wow. He uses this term, counting the ohms, orders of magnitude. So it's not just bigger AI models.
Right.
It's making them exponentially better. Not upgrading your bike to a car, but like to a spaceship, you know?
That's a good way to put it. Huge leaps in capability. But is there a limit to how much they learn? I've heard about this data wall thing.
Yeah, the data wall.
Like, are we running out of stuff to feed these AI systems?
It's something researchers talk about, even the optimistic ones. But here's the thing.
Okay.
People like Dario Amodei, he's the CEO of Anthropic, another big AI company.
Right, I know them.
He thinks we're about to have a breakthrough with in-context learning.
In-context learning. What's that in plain English?
Okay, so think about how you learn from a textbook. You don't memorize every single word, right?
Yeah.
You get the concepts, the ideas, and then you apply those.
Oh, okay.
There are signs AI might be getting close to that.
Woo.
So instead of...
Imagine giving an AI a science paper, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just spitting back facts, it understands the arguments, critiques stuff, maybe even suggests new research, like a human.
Wow.
That's the potential.
Okay, but we're potentially facing this data shortage, right? And the goal is to make these super complex AI agents.
Right.
How does that work?
Aschenbrenner says to forget chatbots.
Okay.
It's less like ChatGPT, more like a coworker you can onboard. Give them tasks, they learn on the job.
He talks about this prototype, Devin.
Evan.
Yeah, an AI software engineer.
No way.
This is happening now, which makes you wonder what skills will even matter if AI can code better than us.
That's a big question.
Aschenbrenner thinks we need to be asking it right now.
Yeah, for sure. So if AI is going from chatting to taking action, what does that mean for building them?
Yeah, what about the resources for that?
Exactly.
That's where it gets interesting and maybe a little scary, honestly. It's not just about software anymore,
Or it gets big.
This is like a whole industrial revolution thing,
Yeah, like those data centers NVIDIA's selling.
Exactly. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
Aschenbrenner, he lays out these numbers.
Yeah, they're crazy.
By 2030, he says a single AI cluster, that's the mega computer for these super AIs,
Right, to train them.
could cost $1 trillion. $1 trillion.
It's almost impossible to imagine, right?
It is. And it's not just the money, it's everything that goes into it.
The resources, the energy.
Aschenbrenner says it could be like a whole U.S. state's worth of power consumption. It's like building a Hoover Dam, but for AI.
Basically, yeah. And whoever controls that, that's a lot of power, right?
Exactly. That's his point. He seems to think this technology needs to stay in the U.S., that there are national security risks if it goes elsewhere, especially China.
It's that Berlin Wall analogy again, right? Things can shift so fast.
Exactly. He's really clear about the risks of AGI developing outside of, democratic countries.
He makes this comparison, asks, would we have built the Manhattan Project in the UAE?
Oh!
It makes you think, right?
It's not just tech anymore. It's who gets to make the rules for the whole world.
Exactly. And China's the big concern for him, right?
Big time.
We've heard about them stealing tech, their AI ambitions.
Right. But what's the specific danger if they win this race?
Okay, so Aschenbrenner talks about a few things. First, they could just steal the tech outright.
Yeah, that's always a worry.
You could talk about model weights. They're like the billions of tiny parameters that make up the AI's intelligence.
Secret sauce, basically.
Exactly. And those could be stolen, copied, instant shortcut to AGI.
So it's not just about having the supercomputer, it's protecting the brains of the operation.
Right. And then there's them using it for bad stuff.
Like what?
Think about a superintelligent AI in the hands of,
a government that already does a lot of surveillance.
Exactly. Control over information, over people. It's a scary thought.
Definitely.
And then there's the AI arms race. If China gets there first, everyone else has to catch up. And they might cut corners to do it. Safety, ethics, all that goes out the window.
He's saying that would be bad for everyone.
Destabilizing, he calls it. The whole world gets messed up.
It's intense, right? I mean, trillion-dollar computers, countries racing for power, AI getting used for who knows what. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's huge.
Feels kind of big picture, like way out there, not really affecting our daily lives,
Yeah, I get that. But Aschenbrenner's point is, it'll affect all of us. And sooner than we think.
Really?
He's talking within this decade. A few years, maybe, and things look different. For everyone.
Okay, so how does that happen? This AI explosion, what's it look like day to day?
Well, he talks about this intelligence explosion idea.
Okay.
So like human intelligence, that's a candle. AGI, that's bonfire, big jump.
Right.
But the explosion, that's like igniting the sun.
Whoa, okay, that's a visual. So AGI isn't just smarter, it makes AI smarter than itself.
Exactly. Like each generation of humans, but way, way smarter each time. Hard to even imagine.
It's not even a difference in how much smarter, it's like different kind of intelligence.
Right.
Which makes you wonder, something millions of times smarter. How do we control that?
The million-dollar question. Right now we're trying this thing, RLHF, reinforcement learning from human feedback.
Meaning?
We give the AI rewards for doing good, like training it, kind of.
So superintelligence is the dog we're housebreaking, treats for good behavior.
Simplified, sure, but yeah, Aschenbrenner says this might not cut it.
For something that smart.
Like trying to teach a dolphin astrophysics with fish. The tools aren't there.
And on top of that, we don't even get how these AIs think. It's all kind of black boxy.
That's the scary part. We hand control to something, but we don't know its process.
Right, so how does this play out in the next 10 years for real people?
Aschenbrenner talks about jobs, for one. Forget robots in factories, it's AI doing whole industries. Customer service, law, even coding.
So what happens to all those workers? That's a lot of people out of a job.
Exactly. We need to think about retraining, safety nets, maybe even how we value work itself.
If AI can do it all.
Yeah, and it's just one thing. What about security? AI hacking systems, autonomous weapons.
And the fake news stuff. AI could make that way worse. No one knowing what's real anymore.
It erodes trust in everything. Aschenbrenner says this isn't some dystopia, it's now problems.
So AGI is almost here. What can we even do? People listening right now.
No easy answers, that's for sure. Even Aschenbrenner's figuring it out, though.
Yeah.
We got to talk about it. Make our leaders talk about it, the tech people, everyone. This is a big deal.
No kidding. This deep dive, we've gone from the Berlin Wall to superintelligence, trillion-dollar tech, power struggles. What even is intelligence? If you take away one thing, it's that this is urgent. AI's future is being decided now, and it's on all of us to make sure it's a good one for humanity.